Hi there, it's Emma here from the Southeast branch of the library. I'm back today with another crochet craft. So I'm going to be making a crochet bookmark that I thought would be really fun for summer reading. My idea was that it would be for absolute beginners. So if you already know some crochet and you feel comfortable doing it, this is probably going to be a bit boring for you. But for people who have tried to crochet before and given up because they find it really fiddly and annoying and difficult, I'm hoping we can break it down into step-by-step instructions and make it really easy for you. Also, people who are trying to teach their kids crochet, I think that I'm planning on making it really easy. This is kind of how I taught my girls, so hopefully it will be helpful for you too. So we're going to dive right in. Okay, so to make our bookmark, we're going to need some yarn, a crochet hook in the corresponding size that you see on the packaging for the yarn, some scissors to trim the yarn, and a yarn needle to weave in the ends. So when you go to buy your yarn or you order online, you're going to see that they have a number for the size of yarn. And they also, I'll just show you this little label that came with my yarn. So right here, they'll have a number, but you're going to look here for the crochet hook. And right above it, it says 5.5 millimeters. So that's the size of crochet hook that you would use with the yarn that this label came from. So that's how to know that you have the correct size of hook for your project. Now, if you're an absolute beginner, it's never a bad thing to use a slightly bigger crochet hook than the one listed on your yarn. So that's kind of a hint if you're starting from scratch. So I have a beautiful small ball of yarn right here, but that's not how it comes at the store. At the store, you're going to get something that looks a lot more like this. And it's much easier to work with a ball this size and this neat. So what we're going to do first of all is I'll show you how to get that ball. So one of the ends, you can dig in and pull out almost like pulling the guts out. And so what I would do is make a small ball by just starting with this, and you're going to wind it. Okay, so in order to make a neat ball of yarn, we're going to start by wrapping around some of our fingers. And then you're going to just go in different directions. And then once you get something that looks a bit like a ball, you can start going around one of your fingers like this, and that just gives a little bit more space and makes the yarn less tight to work with. So all the people I work with at the library all have cats, so you are not going to want to attempt doing this with cats around. It's going to end up really messed up. Okay, so we just keep going exactly the same all the way around, and you'll end up with a really nice ball shape. Okay, you get the idea, so I'll meet you back and we'll start on our bookmark. Okay, so we have our ball of yarn and a crochet hook in a corresponding size. So we're going to start out by making a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, you're going to wrap around and pull through. And then your crochet hook will go right in there, and you can pull this tail end to tighten. So I'll go through that again. Let's do it really slowly. So you're going to go round, and then this back part pulls through, and this forms your slip knot, and then you're going to pull on this tail end. Okay, so once we have our slip knot, we're going to work on creating a foundation chain. So we have our tail end right here, and then this end is attached to the ball. So in order to hold your crochet hook, there's all different kind of schools of thought and different ways to do it. I kind of hold it, I think, like I would hold a pencil. Some other people do all sorts of other things, but I think the main thing is that you find something that's comfortable for you. And our other hand, you'll find all sorts of videos online of all different ways to hold yarn. People kind of go like this and make sure they can hold it properly. Like I pretty much just, well, you'll see. But whatever is most comfortable for you is the right thing to do. So with the end that's attached to the ball, we're going to do our first stitch of our foundation chain. So the way to do this is to wrap the yarn over the back like this. So you start from behind and you go all the way to the front. So don't do it this way. That's not going to work. So pull it down like this, and then the end that's attached to the ball, you're going to do what's called, people will say yarn over, and that's what it means. So from the back to the front like this. And then you're holding onto the yarn like this, and I think it's helpful just to kind of tug down on where your slip knot is. And you're going to pull, see how the yarn is caught by the end of the crochet hook? You're going to pull that all the way through. And then you're going to have this new piece of yarn on your hook. So now for our foundation chain, we're going to do 30 stitches exactly like the one that we just did. So that was number 1. And now we're going to do exactly the same thing again. So we're doing a yarn over, and then catch that yarn and pull it through. So that's our second stitch. And then you're going to keep doing the same thing up to 30. Okay, so I'm at about 29. And then I'm going to do the 30th stitch. And then what we're going to do is something called a turning chain. When we get to the end of each row, we do a thing called a turning chain. And so these are all chain stitches, so it's going to look exactly the same as what we've just done. But the purpose of the turning chain is to be the same height as the next row of stitches. So we're gonna do a bunch of single crochets. So we need to do one turning chain. So that just looks like doing one more stitch exactly the same, but its purpose is to sit right at the end of this row. So that can mess up beginners because they're not sure what the turning chain is, and it messes up like the number. So you'll have 30, but then you really have 31 because this one is the turning chain. So I hope that explains it. So when we are going to start our row of single crochet, we're not going to start with the absolute first stitch next to the hook. We're going to start in this one right here. So hopefully you can see that. So we're going to insert our hook and then yarn over back to front, pull through one loop, and then you should have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over back to front and go through both loops, and that's a single crochet. So I'll show you again. So this one is the one that we just worked into. So we want the one next to it. So we're going to insert our hook. And then, let's see, yarn over, pull through one loop. So we have 2 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So again, insert our hook, yarn over back to front, catch that yarn and pull it through 1 loop, yarn over back to front and pull through 2 loops. And we're going to keep doing exactly the same stitch all the way along until we get to the end. So I'll show you one more time. Insert our hook, yarn over, back to front, catch that yarn and pull it through 1 so that you have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, just like this, catch that yarn with your hook and pull it through 2 loops. So keep going, and I will meet you all the way at the end. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the row, so let's do the last ones. So again, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over back to front, pull that yarn through 1 loop, and then pull through 2 loops. And that's your single crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, pull through 2 loops. And so it's worth saying that single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, all these different stitches in crochet have different names depending on where the book or pattern you're following come from. So sometimes you will end up with a British pattern where single crochet is not what I'm teaching you single crochet is. So there are plenty of guides online that you can find which will tell you what the equivalent in the US is. So just to be aware of that if you're getting confused. Okay, so here's our last one. We're pulling through 2 loops, and if you remember, we need a turning chain. So we're going to go ahead and do yarn over and pull through, and that gives us our turning chain. So again, that's not going to count for the length of the project, it's just going to give us our stitch as high as our next row. So we're going to do the same thing all the way along. So the only thing that's different is now that we've completed 1 row of single crochet, you'll notice that on the top there are these lovely V stitches. So you'll see, so that's how you would count the stitches, is how many of those V's you have on the top. So in order to do another row of single crochet, we're actually going to work into under those 2 top stitches. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to again ignore this first stitch from the hook, and we're going to work into this first V right here. So what we do is we're going to insert our hook like this so that those 2 parts to the V are on top of our hook and the rest of our work is on the bottom. So from there we're going to yarn over back to front, pull through 1 loop, which is those 2 that made the V, and we'll have 2 pieces of yarn on our hook, and then we yarn over and go through both. So that's how we're going to do the next row of single crochet. So I'll show you again. So we're going to insert our hook, which will leave us with this V on top. We're going to yarn over back to front. We're going to pull the yarn through there to give us 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And now we're working on our second row of single crochet. So I'll show you one more time and then I'll meet you at the end. So we're going to insert our hook underneath that little V, and we're going to yarn over back to front, pull through one loop, and then yarn from back to front and pull through 2 loops. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing all the way along, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so we find ourselves at the end of our row of single crochet, and you can tell that it's single crochet. It's, if you look on the top, you can see these little V shapes. So when we go to turn around and do another row, we're actually going to be inserting our hook underneath this V. So there's going to be 2, it's going to have 2 bits of yarn on top of our hook, and then the rest of our work is going to be below our hook. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So we'll do another turning chain. So again, we'll just yarn over and pull through, and then we'll turn our work. And as we do single crochet going back, we're going to miss this very first one right beside the crochet hook, and we'll insert our hook into this one. So you can see what I mean, that the V is on top of my hook and the rest, everything else is below it. So from there we're going to yarn over, pull through that first stitch, and then yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So again, this is the one we just worked into. This is the next stitch right here. You can see the V on the top. And so we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through the first stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. And again, we're going to do the same thing all the way along. So again, insert your hook, you can see the V on top, yarn over back to front, pull through 1, you'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. And we'll keep going the same way all the way to the end, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we're at the end of that row. So what we're going to do is, remember, we're going to do a turning chain. So that's just yarn over and pull through that loop and turn our work. And when you come to the end, that's what you need to do, just 1 turning chain, then turn around and go back the other way. So again, to get started, we're going to miss this first stitch right beside the hook, and we're going to go into this one, so where you see that V. And we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through. We'll have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. And again, for the next stitch, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So you're going to do the same thing all the way down. You're going to do your turning chain and come all the way back. So you're going to do 1 whole row, and then you're going to turn, and then you're going to do another whole row, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so now I'm quite pleased with the length and width of this for my bookmark. So to make it look neat and tidy, what we're going to do is a slip stitch all the way around. So to do a slip stitch, you're going to, now the ends are a bit strange, so you just kind of, everywhere you see a stitch, you just do a stitch into it, and it all works out in the end. You'll be fine. So insert your hook, so yarn over, pull through the first stitch, and then pull through the second stitch, and that's a slip stitch. So we're going to insert our hook into the next place where we see a hole. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first stitch, and pull through the second stitch. And that gives us a neat edge all the way around. So again, I'm going to go into the next one, yarn over, pull through the first stitch, and then pull through the second stitch. So I'm going to go all the way around, just doing that same thing. So again, right here, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through the first one, pull through the second one. And then sometimes at the corners you might want to do 2 slip stitches into the same, just kind of depends. You can play it by ear. So we're going to go all the way around and it should come out nice and neat and tidy. So I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm just finishing off the last little section here. So I went all the way around and you'll see that the slip stitch just gives it a nice kind of finished edge. So insert your hook, pull through the first loop and the second loop, and then so we're going to, once we get back all the way around, we're going to make a little tail, a sort of fringing part on the bottom, which I think looks nice. So once you get to the end, it's going to be this corner, you're going to finish off. So the way to do that is to just trim your yarn and you're going to catch the yarn, like yarn over it, and just pull all the way through. And then you can tighten that little knot, and that's how you finish off. So we've got the one where we started off here, and we've got the one where I ended up there. So in order to make it neat and tidy and secure, we're going to weave in the ends using a yarn needle, which looks like this. So you actually could use your crochet hook if you don't have a yarn needle, but for my purposes, I'm going to just thread the yarn needle like that, and you're going to choose which is the front and which is the back. So this, it looks better this side, so we're going to hide all of these loose bits of yarn on the back. So all you would do is you're just going to weave in and out the very back of the stitches, and that's going to, oops, there we go. And this way it just won't come undone and you won't see it from the front side. So that looks pretty good to me. So once you've done that, again, you're going to just trim that tail end. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the tail that was where we started off. And again, we're on the back side. So you just go ahead and weave in and out of some of the back loops of the yarn. There we go. And I would try and go in some different directions so it doesn't come undone. It's not super important for a bookmark, but for if you're going to be crocheting a scarf or something that might unravel, it's a bit more important then. So to make the little tail for the bottom of our bookmark, we're going to use lengths of yarn. So I have an idea that I probably just want it to be about that length. So you're just gonna fold it over and see how long that is, and then trim to that length. So then I'm gonna make probably like 5 the same length as this piece of yarn, and then okay, so we have our 5 lengths of yarn. So I'm going to take the first one and double it so that it's folded over like this into a loop. And then this is going to be the front of our bookmark. So at the bottom, I'm just going to insert the and then you can see I've just pulled through a little loop, and we're going to just thread those two tail ends through the loop and try our best to make it even. There we go. And then one of the stitches, it doesn't really have to be precise, but and then pull this through to the back, and then you'll see these two parts will loop into the loop right here. Let's see if we can do, and then pull them through, and that's how they'll sit at the bottom. So we're going to do that all the way along, and it'll give us a little fringing. So this is our finished bookmark. I'm quite pleased with it. You can trim these to make them perfectly all the same length, or just leave them all the way they are. But I hope you all had fun, and I'll see you next time.